So last month was the first step of the approval process for the bond issuance this year. Last month, you guys would have approved a form of lease. I think it's the Sixth Amendment to the lease that you've approved other amendments to in past years. Procedurally speaking, this is going to be pretty much cut and paste from what anyone who's been on the board has done the last several years now. Which means that tonight is now the second step, which you will hold a public hearing, invite the public to come up and ask questions, give comments on the bond issuance and on the lease itself. You'll close then the public hearing, and then later on in the meeting, we would ask that you guys consider a resolution approving an additional appropriation for the bonds, and then a resolution confirming the form of the lease, and then authorizing the sale of the bonds by the building corporation. I'm happy to answer any questions. If you don't have any, I'm just going to turn it over then to the public.
Any public comment regarding this? Vote on it now?
Vote on adjournment.
So, all right, and do we have a motion regarding the bonds and the lease agreement?
Included or just a motion? Just a motion to adjourn so we can move.
Oh, do it, okay. I got it.
I make a motion, we go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
All in favor? Aye. All right. So let's go ahead and we'll move into the regular board meeting. Let's see here. This threw me off. All right. I'd like to call to order the regular board meeting at this time. First up, we have the approval of minutes. We've all received the minutes from the July 15th meeting. Any further discussion on those minutes? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Hey, Corey, can I ask a question? Did we pass patron comments for the regular meeting? I know we had patron comments for the lease or the additional appropriation area.
He did, he just jumped right to the consent, so you can do the consent items first if you want to go and do that, and then we'll circle back to the comment items. Is that fair enough? Get it that way?
I'll second his motion.
Vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart,
Yes.
Mr. Poor,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour,
Yes.
Mr. Sturry.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Did you have it? Do you have something? Nothing? Okay. All right, next up would be the approval of claims. Any questions, comments regarding claims? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, claims be paid?
I'll second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart,
Yes.
Mr. Poor,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour,
Yes.
Mr. Sturry.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Next up, we'll have personnel considerations. Dr. Wiedenhofer.
Before we get to our personnel considerations, we do have an addition add-on. 3.3 is Mrs. Dana Reed. If you remember, Dana used to work for us in our high school office and then took some time away. She is coming back to us, and she'll serve as a media center IA for us. So I ask for your approval in hiring Mrs. Reed.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we hire Dana Reed.
I'll second that.
And let's see, the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart,
Yes.
Mr. Poor, Mr. Ridenhour,
Yes.
Mr. Sturry.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. The remaining personnel considerations.
So in your packet board, you do have our personal considerations for this evening, August 19th, 2025. In those personnel considerations, you do have resignations, terminations, appointments, and reassignments. A lot of those are catch-ups from July, getting teachers onboarded on some of those late hires, and some of our fall coaches are on there as well. So I ask that you approve those considerations as presented.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve as presented?
A second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
I abstain for this one.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart? Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.
Mr. Sturry?
Yes.
All right, motion carries 6-0. Now, public comment. I don't believe we have anyone this evening signed up. Correct? All right. Then let's move on to the special reports. We have our Transportation Department, Mr. Hiska.
Transportation's doing well. Nothing really. We're on. We're full buses. We 100% bus inspection. I don't know what else could say. It's really doing well. We have no new people coming in though, you know, as far as that goes. We do have a couple subs out there, but other than that, we're doing real well. So. Both off buses and we still have two subs. Nope. Nope. So we're doing good. Program's looking good. Yep, I think we're doing real good. It looks, yeah, I mean, we struggle with that. All the way around, we struggle with it. And that'd be the hours, and that's the weekends and not having, a lot of these bus drivers have families. So, to be gone on a Saturday is a real tough call. Band's a tough call. That band is a big deal. You're gone for 12, 14 hours on a Saturday, and that's a tough sale. But we do the best we can, or one of us jump in and take it. That goes through October, right? Oh, that goes clear into January, believe it or not, because then they do winter guard, and it's tough. It's tough. I'd say if there's probably 14 weekends out of a school year that band's going out of town. I mean, it's that intense, and then you're 10 to 12 hours. So we do nothing that's that close, and it's distant. It's distant, it's a lot of equipment, it's 3 drivers usually. It's a big deal, but we get it done. I think that I don't feel that we have any problems there. So, okay?
Well, first of all, kudos, because one of the things that we asked our transportation, we laugh and joke about it, but the day really begins and ends with our drivers. They're the ones getting our kids early in the morning when the sun's not quite up. It will start setting, rising up a little bit later, then, getting those kids home safely is job one for them. And if you're listening to the bus radio, they do a great job on communicating, making sure our kids get to and from. The other thing I'd like to commend him is on 2 things. Vestal Industries called me earlier in the summer and asked if we could help transport some of their folks during the day for a summer picnic. Over 200 folks. Paul jumped in there without hesitation. We had 4 drivers go and do that and move those folks around for us, so we very much appreciated that. That was between the hours of 11:30 to 12:30. So here's buses dropping off kids, shifting kids around, and still found time to help serve the community. So we very much appreciate that. Secondly, he gets out from the 99.9% bus. It's 100 this year, so he had to get back on the horse a little bit. So. I tell him, I said, do we need to give him some extra light bulbs for supply? But we figured it was too early, but he's done a great job. He and his staff and the drivers have done a phenomenal job. It takes very much a village, and they did a great job over the summer cleaning buses, getting everything ready to go for inspection. So kudos to you.
It really is an effort. If it wasn't for the group and the people that we have and Levi being there, and you just wouldn't see those, you wouldn't see all that's involved in getting summer help and having, we struggle with summer help, but you get a few summer kids in there, and to do that, we use community service this year, which really worked out even, better. We've been doing a community service program. Bill Hanna started that 22 years ago. And it really worked out, where we can take those community service people that are very minute offenders that have community service, and they come out and do, you know, program with us and help us clean, you know, do things around the shop. It works out perfect. We're probably 15,000 documented hours in community service for our community. And that's a big deal. You know, it's like you have guys that want to come back. I feel that they want to come back, you know, and work for us. And not because we don't make them do anything. It's just the fact they come back because they like it there. They feel comfortable there. They're going to do their hours. That helps them, and then they don't get in trouble by probation because they didn't get their hours done. So that it is. It's a big giant group effort on 100%. It's 6 years in a row. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen every year.
But state police protect, I mean, they count on that being almost 100%.
It's a big deal. I will tell you that MSD of Steuben County in the state of Indiana is something to be said when it comes to our school buses, but it does not all have to do with me, for sure. But we have a good program, good stuff. We don't get docked on money, and, you know, I mean, we gotta fix them. There's schools out there that can't put tires on their bus. You know, I mean, there's horror stories, so we're very fortunate to have what we have, and we do enjoy that. Okay? Thank you. Have a good night.
Next up, budget workshop. Dr. Penrod.
So tonight in August, just like we've done in the past, we'll do the budget workshop and then just kind of let you know what's happening next. Then in September, we do our budget hearing. And then October, we ask you to pass the budget, bus replacement, capital project, capital assets plans, and the associated resolutions with that. So we'll talk about that as we get through this here. So I'm going to step away so I can kind of point some data. We start here with the process, and if you remember, we have ongoing conversation with the DLGF, which is the Department of Local Government Finance. They are the ones who kind of oversee this whole budgeting process, not just for schools, but cities, towns, counties, libraries, any governmental unit. So ongoing communication, whether that's via formal, like at meetings, team meetings, and that kind of thing, or informal by text or phone call. But we continue talking with them really throughout the year, but kind of pretty heavy here for the next 3-4 months. So we will enter our public hearing, our notice of public hearing in Gateway by September 6th, which is 10 days prior to the hearing on the 16th, which is the September board meeting. We have to put that hearing in there instead of putting it in the paper. And so taxpayers go to the public-facing site of Gateway, and that's where they get this information. And we'll put it in there for the budget, bus replacement, and the capital plans, which is capital assets and capital projects. And then we'll do that public hearing on the 16th of September. Following that, we'll wait till the board meeting in October, which is the 21st, and we'll ask you for approval for the 26 budget, the 26, 27, 28 of the 3-year capital projects, capital assets plan, the 5-year bus replacement plan, one resolution that will ask you for permission to make intra-fund transfers of appropriations. So if a line in one particular fund is overspent, but the bottom line of that fund is not overspent, we kind of move money within that fund. We'll ask you for another resolution to transfer money from the education fund to the operations fund, which you've passed in the past as well, but we've not actually made that transfer, but we kind of do it as a just-in-case kind of thing. And then the final one is the granting permission for us to modify what's referred to as line 1, line 2, and line 11. Line 1 would be the 26 budget. Line 2 would be the remaining 2025 budget. And then line 11, which we'll probably modify for the debt service fund, is the operating balance for December 31 of 26. So if we lower that down, we would effectively lower our levy, which is how we can hit different rate and levy targets. More on the rate target later when we get into Senate Enrolled Act 1 a little bit. All of this needs to be completed by November 1, so without any special meetings, that's why we kind of just do it 3 months here, August, September, October. And then we'll upload all of this stuff into Gateway shortly after we adopt it on October 21. And then we're kind of done for a while. The DLGF takes that, does what they're going to do to it, and then issues what's called a 1782 notice. And that 1782 notice comes to us typically in mid to late December. We have 10 days then to modify it. And during that 10 days, during that 1782 response period, we'll utilize the permission that you've granted us to modify the 2026 budget, 25 remaining budget, or line 11, the operating balance. So the next slide is basically just the same information, but in timeline form. So we just kind of went through all that just on the timeline, starting here in August, ending there in December. Every now and then, the 1782 notice goes into January of the following year, but not far enough to, to really make a difference. It might be like a January 2 or a January 3. Some of these things are required by any, by the school, no matter what school you're at. So what we're required to do here are state prescribed forms, so we have to complete those and submit them in Gateway. Gateway is the site that houses all of this information, takes it from the login standpoint, and then turns it around to the public-facing website as well. So anytime you're looking for budgets, tax rates, levies, certified net AV, any kind of report that deals with taxes, you go to Gateway, and there's a public site to see all that. We all have to advertise the hearing, the capital assets and projects plan, and the bus replacement plan. We'll also put that on the MSD website, and we'll hold that hearing, like I said, September 16th, and then finally adopt the budget by November 1 and submit that to DLGF, like I said, on Gateway. Then DLGF, the Department of Local Government, Government Finance, then takes that, reviews it, modifies it, and then issues a 1782 notice. We respond, and they set final tax rates, and then issue the budget order for the county when all of the units of government are done for that county. As far as 25, or as far as the 26 budget, be similar to the 25 budget. One thing maybe a little different, or definitely a little different this year. If you remember in 24, we were talking about this, we did not have to negotiate, because in 23, we had passed a 2-year teacher's contract, so our collective bargaining agreement in 2023 went from 23-24, and then school year 24-25. This year, everybody has to bargain. We're just coming off a long session of the state General Assembly, and so everybody's going to negotiate sometime between the September 15th and November 15th window. And so I know here we've already kind of started pre-negotiations, but that technically the actual window is are those 2 months. As we get into the next slide, we'll go to these fund by fund. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me. We'll do one slide for each fund. We've got a couple other slides and some notes at the end. So again, stop me if you have any questions. So the education fund, or what we see as 101, that is not supported by property tax. So we've talked about that before. That's done by what's called state tuition support, or the basic grant. You might hear that too. The foundation amount this year is $6,967, and that is for a student who is not involved in any of the what's called categorical grants, which we'll see down here, which would be special ed, CTE, and honors diploma numbers. If a student's not involved in any of that stuff, they just come to school here and don't participate in anything there, they're generating $6,967 per student. So a couple things to point out there. That slide says that's 4.3% higher than it was last year, which is true. If you look at that math, last year we were at 6681, and so some math would show you that that's 4.3% increase. So when the General Assembly set that, that was kind of their big push was the 4.3% increase. The one caveat to that, or maybe one of the caveats to that, would be the what's called curricular materials reimbursement. So you might hear that said as CMR. So in the past, like last year, we had CMR reimbursement in addition to this basic grant. So let's say we're getting $16 million in basic grant, and then the CMR came in and it was another $300,000. Okay. In this case, in this budget cycle, they rolled that in my example, they rolled that $300,000 into that foundation, and so that $300,000 is part of this 4.3%. And so there is a scenario, and I'm not saying that MSD is in this scenario, but there is a scenario when you back that out, that $300,000, that could actually end up, a school corporation gets less money, even though the General Assembly said that went up 4.3%. So for instance, if a school has $300,000 CMR reimbursement last year, comes into this year and has $250,000 worth of quote-unquote new money based on this 4.3% higher foundation, after you take the CMR out of $300,000, you walk into the negotiating table on September 15th, down $50,000 before you even start. And so that is obviously the math, but that's not kind of the whole story. That CMR is built into that. So the next year, as an aside, we'll talk about this again next year. Next year, the foundation is $7,071. So again, this time it's only 1.5%. That typically happens. They give more during the first year of the biennium, just because it's easier to estimate revenue and that kind of thing. And then the second year, they're a little less, a little more conservative, a little less bullish. And so, so we'll talk about this again next year, but again, unless something changes, and I doubt that it will, because it's a short session next year, that 1.5% increase again includes the CMR. And so now basically what we're saying is you can do curricular materials, but it's all gonna come out of the ed fund. There is no more, what used to be the 900 fund. So last year, at the end of December, you saw the 900 fund on your board reports. January 1 of 25, you didn't see the 900 fund. All that money rolled into the ed fund, and then, and now this is where we're paying for all that from. So,
When you say curricular materials, to really just shortcut this, it's book fees.
yeah, so textbook rental, sorry. So back in the day, textbook rental, if you remember when schools were allowed to charge for textbooks and textbook rental every 6 years, whatever that was, cycles and everything. And we take that money, put it in the 900 fund. And then a couple sessions ago, they decided we couldn't charge for textbooks anymore. And so they started giving us, I want to say 1 year it was like $151.77 or something like that per student. So you get $151.77 per student. And now that money is rolled into this. And so we're no longer getting additional $151, which is rolled into that $69.67.
But there's also, they've got, okay, we've got textbook rental, but then we always had fees. At a time, I thought they were going to say that you could charge the fees to the parents.
So they,
But that's stopped, isn't it?
this session, they passed something, you can loosen that up again, but it's got to be like, I think it's got to be non-curricular related materials or something. I can't remember how they
There's
defined
two
it.
parts to the book
Yeah,
fees.
yeah.
There's always been the book fees, and then there's always been fees.
Yeah.
I mean, for elementary, it's the crayons and the pencils and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But it's always for paper for all schools. But
Yeah.
they've not done anything with that.
So 2 sessions ago, I think they stopped doing any fees, and now this session, they allowed some non-curricular fees to be charged. But I can't remember the exact definition of what non-curricular, like what was a good example of that.
It's school, why would it be non-curricular if they're gonna charge fees?
Good question. So as we move down to what to expect for 2026, because of our ADM, we're kind of seeing, and ADM is not till October 1, but because of what we see coming into school, I think there will be an increase in the education fund as far as budget goes and revenue, because even though, we got to back out the curricular materials, it is going to be an increase. And so we'll see an increase, we just have to be cognizant of what's included in that increase. Like I said, the curricular materials have to give some leeway for negotiations and that kind of stuff. So we will likely see an increase. Most of that goes to salary and benefits. By law, the CMR amount is not negotiable, so that kind of comes off the table before you get there. But likely the supply lines remain real similar, or probably even the same in most cases, to the 2025 budget. So I mentioned revenue, and I skipped foster students and TANF and SNAP altogether. The reason I skipped that is because the special ed CTE and the honors diploma are actually categorical grants. When you log in and look at that piece, that paper that says here's your payout, it'll say basic grant. That's what you get this month in basic grant, which is the foundation times ADM divided by 12, and then you get the special ed grant, which is in this column, then CTE, and then honors diploma. So nowhere in here are the foster student SNAP and TANF. So why does that matter, for lack of a better word? Those are direct certifications, so nobody has to fill out any piece of paper to say, yes, I'm on SNAP, or yes, I'm on TANF. It's just a direct certification from other state agencies. It shows up in what's called the complexity index, and the complexity index is rolled into the basic grant, but it's a separate section of the basic grant. So the basic grant is this foundation multiplied by your ADM. Your complexity index then is another multiplier, another 4-digit multiplier by, like, say, 0.7 or 1732 or something like that. And so that is then multiplied by what's called the complexity foundation. The complexity foundation was $4,027 last year, and it's $4,001 this year. And so now anybody that's in these particular programs, SNAP, TANF, and Foster, get direct certified from the state, come over here or come to the DOE. The DOE takes that number and the multiplier that's at MSD and multiplies it by $4,001, and that gives us a complexity index, which gets rolled into the basic grant, but not separated out by the categorical grants like it used to. So you used to see a complexity grant. You don't see that anymore, it's just rolled into that foundation amount. So, but again, that did go down a little bit from $4,027 to $4,001 this year. And then on this, the last kind of major bullet here, the ADM count day, I mentioned October 1, and then again in February of 26, and those are both funding dates. There was a while, for a while in schools, those were not, the second one was not funding, it was kind of information only, but those are funding dates now. I mentioned the transfer resolution that we'll ask you to pass. We've not done transfers here in the past, but we ask you to pass it just because it's a not to exceed 15%, and that's from the 101 fund or the ed fund to the operations fund. A good example of that, back 7 years ago now, a custodial salary used to be paid out of the general fund. When the state took over the general fund to make it the education fund, the custodial salary is no longer allowed to be put in the education fund. It had to go to the operations fund. No revenue followed that because the state was funding the general fund and is now funding the ed fund. So no revenue followed that to the operations fund. And so to make up for that, they allow 15% of that tuition support to go from ed to the ops fund to cover things like custodial salaries, maintenance salaries, et cetera. So next we're looking at debt service. On the debt service slide, we've got the budget here at $6,823,155. That's what I expect it to be. We might advertise higher based on what's called anticipated debt service, which we'll get there in a second. First of all, but secondly, we've got the bond issues that are outstanding right now. So we've got lease rental bonds of 03, 22 Series A, 22 Series B, 23, 24. And then the general obligation bonds of 21, 22, and 23. And then these common school loans are loans that are directly from the state. And so we've got six issues of those that are outstanding. They're used here to fund technology. And they just kind of roll. You can see they kind of roll. So one will drop off, we'll get another one. One will drop off, get another one. That's a per student funding, or that's a per student multiplier to get to that amount. And what happens there is they actually deduct our state payment. So if we owe $5,000 on each of these, they'll deduct our payment by $30,000, and then we'll pay that back out of our debt service when we get our tax money back into the education fund. So I mentioned the anticipated debt. So what we're talking about with the hearing this afternoon and some of the resolutions we'll ask you to pass when Ms. Clendening comes back up, so we'll look at a bond issue, right? So we don't know what those payments are going to be, but we know the parameters of those payments because we're advertising kind of a conservative, kind of worst case scenario. And so we put anticipated debt in there to show what the worst case scenario is for the school. So when we say we might advertise this higher, that's likely to happen. But once we figure out the actual payment when we go sell the bonds and structure the bond accordingly to hit levy and rate targets, then this comes down quite a bit, and it gets back in line with what you're used to seeing. And so this anticipated debt, I'll go over that next week or next month when we get into the hearing. But generally, you'll see like what's on line 15. It's called as a 2026 budget. You see a very high number there, and then on line 18A, which is the first half of 27, and the second half of 27 on line 18B, you'll see kind of a lower number that's split in half. But that's what we'll go over once we see that in the hearing next week, or next month, excuse me. And then operating balance in the debt service fund, we've talked about this before, but the operating balance is a way to control the levy, and then in certain cases the rate as well. Once we see what the AV is, our AV is not out, by the way, for Steuben County when I look today. So I mean, it could be if it's in the last hour or so, but earlier today I did not see that. But anyway, once we get an AV, and then we know our payments, we can modify what we want to see, the levy or the rate, by modifying this operating balance, because in fairness to taxpayers, there's no reason to just keep collecting operating balance when we don't need to do that. We're not a bank. We're not trying to make a profit in the debt service fund. Don't have stockholders to answer to, et cetera. So you can expect to see this modified based on the resolution we'll ask you to pass in October. Our next one then is the operations fund. And so I know this is kind of old hat by now, but this combined the previous capital projects, transportation, and bus replacement plan. The 2026 proposed budget will be higher than expected. And again, we're asking asking for 15%, up to 15% to be transferred from ed to ops, but again, don't intend to use that. And then, let me go over here for a minute before we hit MLGQ and SEA 1. We'll ask you, or we'll show you, and then we'll ask you to pass the capital assets and projects plan and the bus replacement plan. And I've got some samples here of those in just a second. On the MLGQ and the SEA 1, MLGQ is the maximum levy growth quotient. And so what that is a formula that is 6-year average on a 2-year lag of what the AV has done statewide. And so it's capped currently at 4%. That was going to sunset. I believe they put that back in. So it's capped at 4%. So whatever we put down on our levy, like this is another taxpayer protection, whatever we put down on our levy, the most that's going to grow is 4%. So we can put down that we'd like it to grow 4%, we'd like it to grow 24% or 104%, and the most it's going to grow is by the MLGQ. And so part of that is embedded now in Senate Enrolled Act 1, which you heard about, we talked about when it was Senate Bill 1, back for like property tax relief. The governor pushed hard for that, and both chambers of the General Assembly pushed hard for that. And so they came up with Senate Enrolled Act 1. And so the intention there is to give homeowners in particular a tax break. Currently, you've got a homestead exemption on your house and then a supplemental exemption, and that lowers the AV or your assessed value of what you're taxed on to quite a bit lower than market value or your assessment. What's going to happen from now until 2031 is that homestead credit or homestead exemption is going to get phased out totally in favor of the supplemental exemption, which is going to go from 30-ish% to 66.7% in 2031. So in this case, if you're living in a $300,000 house that for this example, let's say does not appreciate, you live in a $300,000 house that's still worth $300,000 in 2031. You would pay your tax based on whatever your bill is now, how that formula moves it down. Let's say it's $215,000. So you're taxing on $215,000. But in 2031, you'll get 2/3 of that as credit or as an exemption, and so you would be taxed on $100,000. So that's great for the homeowner, not so great for units of government as far as revenue coming in, because all of that is how schools get their revenue. And so I know we've talked about that in the past. We'll continue to kind of keep that at the forefront, but that's the fund that it will likely hurt the most because, again, you have to pay your debt back, right? So there could be a scenario in some districts, MSD is not one, could be a scenario in some districts where they've got to use other money to pay their debt back. But in MSD, the Senate Enrolled Act 1 will impact the operations fund mostly. So our next one then, we get into the capital asset plan. And so this is a 3-year plan of what we plan to do in the next 3 years, 26, 27, 28. Anything that's over $10,000 on the asset side, so think of this as like equipment and that kind of thing, that's going to be paid for out of the operations fund. And so this is coordinated, I say TBD here because we're a little early, but this is coordinated with bond spending as well, because even those bonds can buy assets, capital assets, it doesn't have to show up on this capital asset plan. So we're trying to coordinate what the plan's going to, or what the bond's going to buy and what the operations fund is going to buy. Next slide looks real similar, but it's the capital projects plan. And so this is all proposed projects, so like a public works type of thing that's over $10,000. And again, it needs to be coordinated with bond work. So we'll do that over the next month, well, next few days to get it, few weeks to get it advertised by September 6th. And then our next one is a sample bus replacement plan. So we've got we have a 5-year plan, 26 through 30. But it's based on the idea that it's a 12-year useful life of a bus. And so this is kind of, I know you're familiar with this. This is kind of what this looks like. If this was the plan for MSD, and again, this is just a sample, but if this was the plan for MSD, this is saying this 2014 bus goes off in 2026, and it's going to cost us $150,000 to replace it. And then this 2013 goes off in 27, and it'll cost $155,000 to replace it. So notice would be 14 years old by that time, perfectly fine. Just have to be inspected twice a year instead of once. So anyway, that's a sample. We'll see that. We'll see yours in September. And then our next one then is another sample. Sorry. And then we get into rainy day. So right now, we've got a $1.8 million appropriation. We've not spent that, and I don't plan on spending that. But it's easier to kind of ask for permission to spend that during this process instead of getting to the point where if we do need to spend it, having to have a special meeting and delaying us. Probably takes 20-ish days to do that. And so it's easier to just kind of ask for permission now, again, not with any intention of spending. And then our final slide is kind of a bunch of notes here on for 2026. And so even though I said increase in the education fund, we're budgeting that on a conservative decrease in the ADM. So kind of weird, right? Going down in ADM, but up in money. And the reason that happens is because you've got the students that are here are still generating more dollars than the few students that may have left, or at least in the budgeting, from the budgeting standpoint, may have left. So we see an increase in the ed fund as we discussed, see an increase in the operations levy like we discussed. I'm going to skip this gross AV for a second. The 2025 total tax rate is 56.32. Our advertised total tax rate is kind of a TBD right now. And the reason it's a TBD right now is because we don't have an AV. And so it's hard to kind of complete the budget cycle without an AV. And then the increased gross AV, which is GAV, and a potential decrease in CNAV, which is certified net assessed value, and then the expected total tax rate discussion. So schools in general, and this one in particular, have managed tax rates in the past. Because of Senate Enrolled Act 1, we might consider, not for tonight, but we might consider a discussion of a shift in mindset to a levy management practice instead of a rate management practice, only because with CNAV, or the intention of Senate Enrolled Act 1 is to lower CNAV. And if that's the case, even if we hold the levy the same, the rate's going to go up because the CNAV is going to go down. So we generate the same amount of money. So it might be worth a discussion, kind of a shift in paradigm to a levy management philosophy instead of a rate management philosophy. And then as an aside, though, I do kind of watch these things, and the AVs that are out, some of them are down 1%, 2%, 3%. Some of them are up 9% and 12%. So it's still kind of up in the air as far as what that particular law is going to end up doing to AV overall. Eventually, it's going to go down, but this year, so far, it's not been every county. And then finally, I put this up here just kind of for like constituent notice, or so you're aware, like when you see this. We're going to advertise something higher than 0.5632. And in this case, it might go a little higher than 5632 because of Senate Enrolled Act 1. Had Senate Enrolled Act 1 not passed, we were shooting for 5632 again, which I'm pretty confident we would have hit. If our AV goes down, though, we'll have to increase the rate, but not necessarily the levy, to get to the point where we need to pay our bills. But my point in this section here is to show, if we advertise, even if we advertise 95 cents or $1.05 or whatever, we've always brought that back down to 0.5632. And so, so you can see, like, it's got jumbled up, I think, in the email or in the transition, but you can see we've advertised some pretty high rates here in the past, like 81 cents, 88 cents, 91 cents. But for the past 3 years, we brought that back down to 56.32. So my point in saying that is, once we see the advertised rate, if your constituents say anything to you about, man, you're raising my taxes, or when you see it next month at the hearing, hey, what are you doing raising the taxes? This is what we've advertised in the past, and we brought that back down to 56.32 consistently. So that's kind of the point of showing this, even though the formatting got messed up. So that's our last one. I'd be glad to answer any questions or anything. That's always a lot this time of year, but with Senate Enrolled Act 1, it kind of makes it even more challenging a little bit. So, but again, certainly be glad to answer any questions.
Any other revenue sources like CMR that potentially could, I guess anything can always change?
Yeah, anything could go away. One that is kind of on the block right now, and it's part of Senate Enrolled Act 1, is local income tax. And so if the county collects a local income tax, currently schools get a portion of that, their certified shares. In 2028, those go away. That goes away for schools. And so one of the things that Senate Enrolled Act 1 did, or didn't help schools with, cities and towns or counties can pass an increase in their LIT, their local income tax, to replace the lost revenue from Senate Enrolled Act 1. So if the county or the city or whatever, if they're losing this money, they can replace that with an increase in income tax, which is also capped, but most counties weren't at the cap anyway. So they could get to the cap and replace a lot of their lost income or revenue there. Not only do schools not have that mechanism, that money also just is taken away in 2028 altogether. So there is no mechanism to replace that money, and it gets taken away in 2028 altogether. The only other thing I've seen that I thought was interesting this year is the DLGF tells us kind of what, like an estimate of what we're going to get for what's called financial institutions tax, commercial vehicle excise tax, and license excise tax. And typically, license excise tax is the biggest one. Most districts, this one included, it's 6 figures. And then the other two are not a ton of money. I mean, maybe you might get into $20,000, $30,000, which, you know, in the grand scheme of your budget is not a ton. This year, for the first time, I saw that they are not putting that into the debt service fund in 2026. And so I need to ask that question, if that's intentional or if that's you know, just a miss or whatever, as far as we can still put it there if we request it. But the reason that's significant is because if that's not going in there, that means the levy for the debt service fund increases to cover that amount of money that was lost from those two in particular, or 3 miscellaneous revenues. If that levy goes up, the rate goes up to get to the levy that you need to get to. And then, once we get to that, it takes the rate, like in this case, the debt service rate was 0.39, but when that creeps up, or when the AV goes down, and then we're gonna backfill levy into the debt service fund, the rate will then creep up, which, again, 39 cents, maybe it goes to 45, not a huge deal, 6 cents, all right. But eventually, the idea, when that AV keeps dropping, if we get to 70 cents, then everything that the school does is subject, or is required to go to referendum. And so that's the other thing Senate Enrolled Act 1 did, was to push not only AV down, but it'll eventually push rates up to the point where a lot of schools' debt service rate will hit that 70 cents way before they ever thought it would, and a lot of schools never thought they'd get there. But if AV goes down that drastically, they will likely get there. So those are the kind of 2, 3, 4 revenue sources I have concerns about.
So they force you into the referendum.
I'm not at the General Assembly, so I'm not qualified to say that, but that's kind of where we're heading, yes.
And if it doesn't pass, you're straight. I mean,
Yes,
that's long short end.
yeah. All right, any other questions?
Just, so we advertise it at 0.81, but we're not expecting 0.56.
Well, that's historically, yes. In this case, it's a little tougher because I don't even know the AV yet from the county. So I can't like say, here's what we're gonna advertise quite yet, and here's what we're gonna settle at without that AV. In the past, I've stood up here actually and said, I think like with 99.9% guarantee that our tax rate's gonna be 0.5632. With Senate Enrolled Act 1, I would not be comfortable saying that this year. It won't be out of control, you know what I mean? Like the levy won't be raised so high that people are saying, hey, where's my tax relief? But there's kind of 2 variables there too. Now, if the levy's gonna stay the same, the rate's gonna go up, or could go up, then they'll still get their tax relief. But if you're looking on the negative side of that, you'd say, okay, I'm paying less, but my tax rate went up. To me, that wouldn't matter because I'm still paying less, but there is a chance that the tax rate goes up because of that new law. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess I don't know, we advertise it so high, you know, it's kind of.
You can't go up.
Oh,
We can come down.
yeah, part of that's to protect the school. Like even if we know the AV, the state tells us to only advertise based on like 85% of that AV in case there's some sort of mistake or something where AV actually was mistaken, it is coming lower. So, because if we had advertised 56 cents and then or I'm sorry, if we'd advertised 54 cents, but it could have been 56 cents, we can't go up, but we can go down. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Next, Base Camp Literacy Coalition Partnership. Dr. Relu.
So while the state has been having fun with money, so has the federal government. That has impacted programming this year. The funds that pay the Base Camp grant were held. They were reviewed at the Office of Management and Budget. They eventually came forward and said, yes, indeed, everything that is in these programs aligns with our priorities. We are going to release the funds, but they released those funds so close to the start of school that the Literacy Coalition said, we can't hire staff until we know for sure we have our funds. They've since hired staff. They're fully staffed. They're ready to go. We've had meetings at each of the schools. So Base Camp will actually begin on September the 2nd. It is going to be continued to be fully funded by the grants that have already been awarded. We just were afraid that they were going to hold the money, and then we were working on contingency plans. But so Henry Park and Carlin Park have always been Base Camp sites along with Angola Middle School. This year Ryan Park qualifies. So Ryan Park is also going to become a Base Camp site. So we are no longer going to be in the after-school childcare business. And we're delighted to have the Literacy Coalition running the programs in all of those schools. They also were able to write into the grant that was approved previously before school care. So that will open at 6:30 every morning starting September 2nd. There are 30 seats available for families that need that before school care. That's a no cost. They can drop off at Angola Middle School. That's elementary through middle school age children. And they will have staff there to care for them, provide activities for them in that morning. And then elementary school students will just catch their shuttle bus to their elementary when those buses all convene at the middle school and they do the swap there. So we're excited to continue the partnership. We're excited the funding came through. We're not excited that it was a delayed start, but we're on track and looking forward to getting started. So that's just 30 seats at the middle school. So that will be the central drop-off point for all families, and then students will be bused from there. Yep. We still have the ELC that has their before-school program, so our littlest children have always had that 6:30 in the morning start. It is.
Thank you. And next, the title update.
Yeah, so continuing the saga, all of our title funds that are typically just allocated to us each year based on enrollment, so Title I, Title II for professional development, Title III for English learners, and Title IV for well-rounded programs, all have been held and reviewed. Title I was released first, so we were given our allocation. We actually saw a few thousand additional dollars in our Title I budget this year. And our application has been approved. We're just waiting on budget approval. They haven't started approving budgets yet, but that money we have and are able to plan with that. We've received our allocation for Title III. That's our English learner funding. They are changing the grant application process. The state has a new grants management system. They're moving that grant to that grants management system. So they said, here's how much money you're going to get. We'll let you know when we know what the process will be for applying for it and submitting your budget. So we know that money's coming, but we can't budget for it at the moment.
Title money, if I'm correctly thinking, you spend money and then you send it in and they reimburse.
That is correct.
So as long as you are sure of the amounts, you can go ahead and get what you need.
That is absolutely correct. And it's reimbursable from July 1 because we had our application in and approved by that time for the program. and then the budgets get approved separately. Title II, which is our professional development money that pays all of our stipends, our travel, our conference registrations, when we bring presenters in, when we send people to trainings, we have not been given an allocation for that this year. Usually we have those in July. So we've been told the money's coming, but we've not been told how much or what the application process will be. These are all separate departments at the Department of Ed, so they're all now, based on what they've gotten from the feds, trying to figure out those numbers. The last one, same with Title IV. We have not received any communication other than you'll be getting those funds this year. So we're kind of waiting, and when we thought they might not be coming, we definitely went into backup planning mode and had all of those essential functions that we've used those grants for allocated elsewhere to make sure that we didn't have a disruption in what was happening. The only thing right now we need is some stipend accounts set up so we can pay people who have participated, for example, in new teacher orientation. That's the funding that we're waiting to be told how much we have. And then we can set that up. But we did see an article this week that the Congressional Budget Committee has reviewed these 4 funds for the upcoming budget, and they agreed, or the recommendation is to not make any cuts to any of these funds, slight increases in 2 of the funds. So we'll see what the rest of Congress does in voting for that, but the committee that reviewed it against priorities and said, our desire is we keep these funds intact.
Holding off on everything until we know what is coming through here.
We are, yes. Yes. So that's just where we are with those funds. So,
Thank you. Next, we have old business. First up, MSD Steuben County Staff Technology Acceptable Use Policy 4261. This will be our second reading. Dr. Relu.
yeah, so board, in your packet is the policy 4261. We've not made any changes to this since it was first presented to you. So tonight I am asking for your approval of the changes to that policy.
Any questions, comments regarding that? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve as presented.
I'll second that.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart,
Yes.
Mr. Poor,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour,
Yes.
Mr. Sturry.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Next, Sexual Harassment Policy 4118, also second reading. Dr. Relu.
Board, in your packet, again, this policy has not changed from when it was first presented to you. It includes the same protections that we put in the technology acceptable use policy around AI things that could get people in trouble. So we're asking your approval tonight of the updates to the sexual harassment policy.
Do we have a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve. Second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart,
Yes.
Mr. Poor,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour,
Yes.
Mr. Sturry.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Board discussion informational items. We do not have any this evening. New business. First up, approval to advertise the school budget, bus replacement plan, and capital projects and asset plan. Dr. Penrod.
Excuse me, based on the budget presentation, we're just asking for permission to advertise those three documents. Those again have to be advertised on Gateway 10 days prior to the hearing. So hearing on September 16th, we'll get them up there by September 6th, and then go over that at the hearing on the 16th.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart,
Yes.
Mr. Poor,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour,
Yes.
Mr. Sturry.
Yes.
Next up, we have the, consider adopting resolution of the school board confirming the sixth supplemental contract of lease and approving the issuance of bonds and related matters. Dr. Penrod? Or Hannah?
So as I said earlier, I'll just introduce both resolutions. The first one is a resolution confirming the same lease amendment that you approved the form of last time. Nothing has changed since then, besides inserting today's date. And then also authorizing the $6.6 million maximum amount for the bonds to be issued by the building corporation for a maximum term of 15 years, very similar terms and parameters that we've done in past years for these bonds. And again, those are meant to be conservative. And then the second resolution is the additional appropriation to cover the bond proceeds and investment earnings. So.
All right, do we have a motion?
Can we approve the resolutions as presented?
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart,
Yes.
Mr. Poor,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour,
Yes.
Mr. Sturry.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Next up, acceptance of funds, Farmer State Bank. Dr. Relu.
So, Board, we have donations from Farmers State Bank. They use their Jeans Fund and chose to donate that to us this year, and we'll be using that money to help fund the Boomerang backpacks. And then there also was a donation made to the food service department to be able to help children who have funds that are in arrears get those accounts cleared up. So ask your permission to accept both of those donations.
Do we have a motion to accept?
I make a motion, we go ahead and accept the funds.
Second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart,
Yes.
Mr.
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour,
Yes.
Mr. Sturry.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Next up, permission to approve adjunct teacher position. Dr. Relu.
So Board, you have a recommendation to approve 8 firefighters. All of these firefighters have previously been adjunct instructors with us in the fire science program. So we are asking that you approve them to continue in those positions. You also have a recommendation to approve Sarah Mowry as an adjunct teacher for our elementary music position. Sarah has been with us for 4 years and is still working to complete her license. So she's not eligible for emergency permit, but she's got 1 class left, and she will have that completed this year, and then she'll have her regular teaching license. So I'm asking your permission to approve the permits for all 9 of those candidates.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart,
Yes.
Mr. Poor,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour,
Yes.
Mr. Sturry.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. The Advanced College Project MOU with IU. Dr. Relu.
So Board, we would like your permission to move forward with an MOU with Indiana University. The Advanced College Project is one that they started many years ago. It actually allows teachers who are working on a master's degree to become credentialed through IU to teach dual credit courses while they are working on their own coursework. IU also provides that coursework at no cost to our instructors. So we have an instructor at Angola High School who's working on his master's in chemistry. At the same time, while he's taking those classes at IU, IU provides him the credentials to be able to teach dual credit chemistry to our students. They provide the curriculum shell and the oversight of that program while he is pursuing that. What we love about this partnership is that there's also zero cost to our students for taking this class. So just like our instructors who are credentialed through Ivy Tech for dual credit, those are no cost to our students when taught by our instructors. IU is the same here with no cost to the students for that class. So that's how we would like to do our dual credit chemistry this year, and would like your permission to sign the MOU.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we accept the project MOU with IU.
I'll second that.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs.
Yes.
Mr. Poor,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour,
Yes.
Mr. Sturdy.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Next up, MOU of the Freedom Academy. Dr. Ray Lou.
Board, this is the second time I am bringing this request to you. Last year, you approved for us an MOU with Freedom Academy. We're continuing that this year. They are providing to us the health science instructor, all of the vaccinations, all of the testing materials, all of the curricular materials for our students who are in that health science program. They also oversee all the clinicals that take place at Cameron Hospital, and then in partnership with our work-based learning specialist, they also do the rotations in other health offices, doctors' offices, veterinary offices, whatever they are interested in pursuing as they continue to learn more about that. This agreement, we pay them $1,800 per student. There are 25 students in the program. There are 4 classes in that program that we receive CTE funds for. 3 of those classes generate $600 each. So that money that we receive for offering the course pays Freedom Academy, and they handle everything. Then that 4th course, which is actually the capstone course, which pays $800, that's money that we are able to keep to continue to support our other programs like the work-based learning specialist. So this is a definite win-win. We've had an incredible instructor who's taken this program and really grown it. We've doubled the number of students who are participating. We're very excited about that. And this program, they have been doing the CCMA certification. This year, they're also going to add the CNA certification and stack those credentials with this program. Just seniors right now, yes. So the state ended HOE as a formal program. Health Sciences replaces it. It's the same program.
They're all MSD students.
They are, yes. Yes, they are.
Otherwise, you get that as HOE, we usually bring other students in.
Yes. We still would be willing to do that. And we just bill the other school districts if we have students who come like we do for fire science.
But we're only allowed so many students, and if we cover it with all of our students, there's no reason to go.
That is correct. This year, we do have a morning and an afternoon session. So we actually have more capacity to bring students in than we've had previously. And the new instructor has raised the cap and expanded the pool. So we're excited about that.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve?
Second?
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart,
Yes.
Mr. Poor,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour,
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Let's see, MOU with Goodwill Industries. Mrs. Doherty.
Good evening. I'm requesting annual reapproval for our pre-employment transition service, PREETS, through our partnership with Goodwill Industries of Northeast Indiana. This program helps students with mild disabilities prepare for employment through in-class instruction and support. There's no cost to MSD of Steuben other than providing transportation if they're taking students to jobs during the school day. We currently have 24 students enrolled at Angola High School. 18 of those students graduated last May. And this summer, we had 6 students employed helping with the summer custodial staff. So I recommend continuing approval for the 2025-26 school year. Any questions?
Now, tell them your first and last name and tell them your new position this year since you're.
I'm Lindsay Doherty, and I'm the Special Education Coordinator, Assistant Coordinator. So helping with Ashley Biddle this year.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we go ahead and approve the MOU.
Second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Mager,
Yes.
Mr. Poor,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour,
Yes.
Mr. Sturry.
Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Next, we have a MOU with the City of Angola for Next Level Trails Grant. Dr. Wiedenhofer and Amanda Cope.
Hello, I'm Amanda Cope. I'm the city engineer with the City of Angola. So just want to give you a little background of the project. So Indiana, for several years, has put an emphasis on developing and building trail networks throughout the state. So there is a designated state visionary trail that goes from Pokagon State Park, which obviously is in Angola, to Obachi State Park in Wells County. So as part of that, there has been coalitions and groups that are formed to develop this trail. So the City of Angola 2 years ago applied for funding through the DNR to finish our portion of the trail. So our trail is complete from Pokagon State Park to Commons Park. And we were awarded a $1.5 million grant for just under $2 million construction of the trail to finish our portion. So that will go from Commons Park to our southern city limits. So I'm here tonight because that trail will go in front of Henry Park. And so we are looking for an MOU with MSD to allow us to build that trail, which will extend outside of our right-of-way in front of and just north of the school property. So the sidewalk that is there will be converted to a trail is kind of the easiest way to put that. But we're looking to start construction maybe the end of this year, but most likely in 2026 for that.
So the wire sidewalks you see over by the old tennis courts will be widened and come around the front
Correct,
of Henry Park and on the side.
correct. Yeah, the trail will be 10 feet wide.
Is that going to affect any of the parking out in front of the?
It will not. So like the on-street parking at Washington, there's actually 2 sidewalks that are there, so it's almost going to combine that. So all of the parking lots will all stay the same. We're just going to be constructing a trail there.
So that's going down to Felicity?
It's,
Felicity onto Old 27 and down that way? Down south?
yes.
Past Don's
So
and-
Felicity to South Wayne, really right at like the bus barn is kind of where we're stopping. The county also has a grant to extend a trail to Pleasant Lake. So as of right now, what has been funded will be a trail to Pleasant Lake between our portion and the county's portion. Future funding, as you guys all heard, is to be determined, but that will happen.
That's where they got everything there. I mean, they haven't replaced anything back, Nipsco hasn't, where they were doing all gas.
Waterloo has some trail that is done. Auburn has sections. As you travel south, you'll see the community's commitment to trail development.
So
be your best answer.
So you're talking of replacing the sidewalk in front of Henry Park?
Correct.
Those trees gonna remain there?
I don't know. Actually, I do know. Let me open the plans.
Well, if you remember, several years ago, I think the trail committee came to the board. I think Sue Sines was the principal at Henry. And I think there was concern at that time that the trail was gonna run behind Henry Park. And I think it kind of died after that because we were concerned about safety issues with that playground back there. But I think you moving it in front of Henry Park certainly takes care of that problem.
Correct. And we are showing the trees remaining, so we are going to try to construct around them. Yes, that was a contentious conversation about going back behind. So now everything is beside the roadway. It's really in the same location the sidewalks are. It's just now converting to a trail.
And we're probably not gonna take on any more of a burden clearing off sidewalks than what we already have, because that's our sidewalk, our responsibility anyway, right?
Correct.
It is.
Parks Department does
I was gonna say, for snow and stuff,
We're
ice.
responsible.
So when we, so,
They do, yes, they do. I'm not sure how far
That's part of the trail we never do.
so when we had meetings during the design phase, and we met with some of the MSD's maintenance staff, they actually wanted to do the snow removal. So that's why that's in there that way. Any other questions? Yeah.
10, 15 years down the road, if there's a crack in the trail, it's not our responsibility, right? Or
Correct. So the maintenance, the general maintenance, reconstruction, any of that would be the city's responsibility.
And we're not assuming any more liability than what we already have, right?
Correct. Yeah. We actually have an MOU on file for the sidewalk that goes around the tennis courts, because that's actually outside of the right-of-way already. So this is kind of an updated one.
Very good idea.
Which is more exciting, city council.
These are longer. Yeah.
Tonight is one.
Yeah. But they're equally exciting, I will tell you that. Only if you buy the arms to go up and down, yeah. Any other questions? Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we go ahead and accept the MOU with the city of Angola as presented.
I'll second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart,
Yes.
Mr. Poor,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour, Mr. Sturry.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Future meetings. All meetings are here in this room, in the McCutcheon Administration Center Boardroom, at 6 PM. Next meeting will be September 16th, October 21st, and November 18th. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, it gave me great pleasure to listen to the left side of the table, the Purdue folks talk so highly of the Indiana University partnership that we have, especially. You did. So I appreciated Dr. Relu, how excited she was when she presented that information from the Purdue side, and Mr. Caswell for voting yes, and Mr. Poor jumping in there. So very much appreciate that from the Purdue side. Secondly, great start to the school year. I want to thank all of our staff, our teachers, our parents, and parents. It has been fun to get things up and started, especially with all the construction things that we had in all of our buildings. Teachers have been pleased, and it's been nice getting a lot of that feedback from our parents too. So very much appreciate everybody's hard work to making sure the school year got started. A couple of weeks ago, I want to give a huge shout out to Tia Books and Sarah Clary. Tia is our director for our alternative school. Sarah Clary is the principal at Pleasant Lake Montessori. They were named the Grand Marshals of the Pleasant Lake Days Parade, so it was exciting to see them. We posted that really right out on our Facebook page, got a lot of great feedback. I know that the ladies had a great time doing that and kind of showcasing the building and some of those things. But, Mr. President, what a great start to the school year, and we couldn't be happier. So that is the superintendent's report.
Board member communication.
Man, if I could sing happy birthday to you. So happy birthday today.
Oh.
Appreciate it, thank you. There's no better way to spend a birthday than at a board meeting.
And this may have been a record on our number of items that we said. So- All right. Well, anyone, anything else? All right, if there's nothing else before the board, do I have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Aye.
Boiler up.
Yep.